Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about high yield savings accounts. And I know that this topic, for some of you, you may already know a whole bunch about it, but for some of us, it may be an unknown area. And I really want to explore it because a lot of folks ask me about high yield savings accounts and basically, is it safe, right? Is it a scam? Is it too good to be true? And we're going to go over some of that and also how we can research just financial accounts in general to see if is it a scam? Is it trustworthy? What are some good indicators of any of that so that we can safely and confidently invest our money and save our money for our financial goals? A high yield savings account is so much more important now because of sky high inflation, along with the fact that interest rates from the Federal Reserve are going up, which in theory also means that interest rates at these banks and your savings account should be going up as well. If you have a normal savings account, then you're not going to see any of this. Right? For a normal savings account, your interest rate is probably staying super low and the same, probably at 0.01%. If you have a high yield savings account, then your interest rate will fluctuate. Currently, at least for my high yield savings account, which is with Discover, right, it's at 0.5%. I'm not saying that's the best rate, but it is higher than 0.01%. One thing to keep in mind is that I'll be using Discover throughout this video because I'm most familiar with them, but that does not mean that I'm sponsored by them. They're not paying me for this, and I'm not going to drop a referral link, right? You do your own research and you decide which bank works best for you with the following tips and tricks that I'm going to walk us through in terms of determining if a specific financial account is a scam or not. In terms of a high yield savings account, there are so many options to choose from, and you can just do a quick Google search and you'll find an unlimited set of options. So many banks now offer a high yield savings account, but so many banks also don't offer a high yield savings account. So if you currently have a savings account with a local bank, chances are it's not high yield savings, right? There are a few that do offer it, but if that's, if you already have one, that's great for you. Otherwise, you might consider going with an online high yield savings account. And I know online sounds sketchy already. Can you trust it? Your money is basically not a physical location anymore. From your point of view, it's with an online bank, and who knows where that money is. A high yield savings account will differ from bank to bank, right, in many aspects, but also very similar in certain ways. I will say that if you're looking for the highest interest rate when it comes to high yield savings account, it might not be worth your time because banks are always competing with each other to get the highest rate. Chances are, if you're getting the highest rate and keeping the highest rate is very low. You're going to be switching from account to account. If you want to spend your time switching from one account to another account whenever the rates change, that's fine. But for most of us, I think anything really higher than 0.01% or anything even remotely close to the top banks that are offering the highest interest rates, then I think that's fine. Now, the first place that I like to look when it comes to new financial accounts is on Reddit, right? These folks are people who have used the different types of financial accounts before you did, right? They'll give you a review. It's probably honest because they don't have any reason to give you a false review. Everyone's anonymous. You don't know who they are. They don't know who you are. And this is just quickly Googling Reddit and then the type of account, right? So in my case, it'll be Reddit Discover Savings Account. And you'll find a whole bunch of information. Either people love it or people hate it, and for what reason, right? Maybe people hate it for reasons that don't matter to you. Maybe people love it for reasons that don't matter to you. What's important is that recognize that your financial situation is unique, and you just need to get a good idea about what other folks are experiencing with this bank, whether it's good or bad. It's better to have a holistic look at it. Now, the next step is to make sure that whichever bank you go with, that they are FDIC insured. Check out this link here where you'll learn more, but basically the government is going to insure your money so that if the bank loses it for whatever reason, you're insured up to a specific amount. Currently, that amount is $250,000, which may be subject to change. Even with all of this, right, even if your money's insured, you don't really want to go through the hassle of filing a claim and hoping that they get back to you within a reasonable time, right? It's probably not going to be reasonable, right? So you want to make sure that before you even get to that point where you have to leverage FDIC or leverage any of these other insurance policies, you want to make sure that there is no fraud or there's very little fraud going on with this bank. Right? One way to check for that is to look up fraud on various websites, right? This can include news websites, just Googling, hey, Discover bank account fraud. What is there, right? What if Discover bank account lawsuits? What are we seeing out there? Are these banks getting sued a lot? Maybe not, and that's great. If they are getting sued, for what reasons? Do these reasons matter to you? If they don't, then you're probably fine. If they do, it gets a little tricky, right? Maybe find a different bank. And then you can also look at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau database, right? Just type in the name of the bank and see what complaints have been made for that bank, right? What are the issues? Do these issues concern you? One thing to note is that the larger the bank, the more issues they will be experiencing because more folks are complaining about it. No bank is without issues. When you look at it, make sure you take it with a grain of salt and figure out and understand what are the real concerns here. And is this threshold of issues too high for you, or are you fine with this amount? Now that you have the tools to basically investigate whether that high yield savings account works for you or whether it's a scam or not. Chances are it's not a scam if you're especially going with a very popular bank. If you're going with a bank that no one knows about, or it's new, or it's a startup, that might get a little tricky. You might want to reconsider, especially if this is your first time opening a high yield savings account. Go with something that other folks are using. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, right? What are they using? Chances are some of them might be using high yield savings accounts already, right? And they can basically tell you what their experience was like, and then you can go from there, right? Just make sure no matter what the case is, that you do not stick with a normal savings account at your local bank, right? They're probably paying you terrible interest rates, but you still have to save money, right? You can't just invest all of your money. So you still have to have liquid cash, and you might want to just keep that in a high yield savings account because that will fight off inflation better, much better than a normal savings account. All right, hopefully that helped you out, and I'll see you in the next one. Just make sure that you do your research and you should be fine.